Hello and welcome to Aztecs All In, the podcast that goes all in on San Diego State sports. I'm Louis Weiner along with Steve Perez. We are two Aztec alums and football season ticket holders who can't get enough of San Diego State sports. Right, Steve? How are you today?
The great thing about being all in on Aztec athletics is they have 18 separate sports, so there's always something.
There's always something, absolutely. Here's what's ahead on this edition of Aztecs All In. The Aztecs have their second bye of the season coming off of a 6-0 loss to Nevada, and Brady Hoke is going to focus in on a short yardage play that isn't working as well as it should. The SDSU Athletic Department is partnering with Mesa Foundation, the NIL collective for its basketball program, what that collaboration is all about. It was a big weekend for a member of the SDSU women's golf team who shoots the lowest score by an Aztec in 7 years, plus a big night of soccer action for the men's and women's teams on the sports deck coming up. Women's team riding high, heading into its final game before the Mountain West Conference Championship Tournament. And we'll tell you all about this year's Aztecs for Life blood drive. But we're going to get started with a little football, even though they're on a bye, Steve. We're thinking Aztec football still.
That's right. The Aztecs are going to get a break, but when they play again, they have set the game time and the broadcast schedule 4 p.m. Saturday, November 4 at Snapdragon Stadium. They are 3-5 overall, 1-3 in the Mountain West. Fox Sports 2, San Diego Sports 760 on the AM radio dial or on the iHeartMedia app. And did you know, Louis, the game will be elevated to Fox Sports 1 if there is no Major League Baseball World Series Game 7.
Well, we were on Fox Sports 2 this past weekend, but moving up to Fox Sports 1 would be an honor, wouldn't it?
Well, one other little known element, unless you were really paying attention, the actual commentators on this game were not in San Diego for the game, even though the game was being played in San Diego. They were doing it from Los Angeles. It was a remote game.
Yeah, that is a source of contention, especially in the Pac-12, they had some issues with that, but
right. And the other annoyance, or I don't know if it's a deception, but that's what TV does, is they put the background of the game there, and so it gives viewers who don't know any better the mistaken impression that they're actually there when they are not.
Right. It is misleading. I agree with you there. Absolutely. But let's get back to Aztec football. Aztecs need to win 3 of their final 4 to become bowl eligible, coming off a 6-0 loss to previously winless Nevada, which had lost 16 straight games. This is a low point that Aztec football fans haven't seen in more than a decade. Offense is struggling, and Coach Brady Hoke said Saturday they would consider lineup changes during the bye. According to the UT's Kirk Kenny, Maiden missed practice on Tuesday for personal reasons, but would be back Wednesday. Coaches will use the end of the week to do some travel and recruiting. One problem Saturday night was the Aztecs' inability to get a first down late in the second quarter. On 3rd and 3, the Aztecs tried to surprise Nevada by lining up with 3 in the backfield: Lucky Sutton, Leo Kemp, and Jalen Armstead. Nevada responded with 6 at the line of scrimmage, and then 3 linebackers right behind and 2 DBs right behind them. Sutton got the ball inside, and he was able to pick up 2 yards. That left a 4th and 1 at Nevada's 36-yard line. The Aztecs went with the same alignment, but even more scrunched up. Nevada responded with basically 10 guys stacked near the line of scrimmage. Unfortunately, Maiden fumbled the snap, and by the time he picked it up and moved forward, he was not able to get the first down. Aztecs had a similar QB sneak stopped the previous week against Hawaii, and after the Nevada game, Coach Hoke was asked if this was a play that was practiced regularly, and he had a surprising reason why perhaps it didn't work last week.
Believe me, that's part of what we've had in now for 4 weeks, and I would say we've got to make sure the mechanics are right, and take a look at that. And, sometimes it's the other, last week, it was more of a wet ball, and Ross is, he sweats a lot. And, it's just part of it. We got to do a good job making sure that he's got enough to keep his hands dry.
So, Steve, we don't often think about guys sweating on the football field, which of course they do, and it affecting the play. And I get that he fumbled the ball after lining up with 3 running backs in the backfield on 3rd down. Nevada was prepared for the same formation, though, on 4th down. And I don't think that helped the situation. They ran that scrunched up play twice in a row, Steve.
You have to be able to run that play. You have to be, if your identity as a football team is to run the football. The game before, when they did play in Hawaii and they won that game, they ran the ball 40 times. At that point in the game, they were doing a better job of asserting a little bit more control over the line of scrimmage. In that particular instance, in the game against Nevada, the snap was not handled well. And the other part about that play is, in order for it to be effective, it appears that the quarterback is trying to get as low as possible to get more leverage. It's a tougher thing for the players on the other side of the ball to stop if the player is low and just boring ahead for that amount. In that situation, if your identity is to run the football, you have to be able to run that play, execute it, and get the first down. In the Aztecs instance, they didn't, and it's always easy to second guess. Hey, wouldn't it been nice to fake that and then toss it to the tight end or have him take it around the end or whatever? But that's 20/20 hindsight.
Yeah, the problem is when the Aztecs line up in that position, Nevada came up, and like I said, they basically had 10 guys at the line of scrimmage. And as a fan, you're thinking, well, there's no way they're going to be able to do that. That's a popular play these days in the NFL. The Eagles are running that brotherly shove, where they get, Jalen Hurts and actually pushing him. And that's not what this was, but that's just becoming a more difficult thing with all the defenders lined up right there trying to stop it.
If your identity is running the football, you have to be able to run with a full house backfield. And maybe you hand it to somebody else, maybe you sneak it, but it's designed to keep the defenders guessing about who's going to get the ball. But yeah, I mean, in that case, it did not work. Another thing, just as long as we're going back and picking at scabs, another thing in the Nevada game, I asked Coach at the end of last game. He was not ebullient in the wake of that performance where the Aztecs got shut out. Asked which part of the game tape would he be interested in reviewing most. I don't think I phrased it exactly that way, and he just pretty much said all of it. And at that point, I thought, well, why would you be looking at the defense all that much? Because they held the opponent to 6 points, and if you can do that, most times you should be able to win that football game in Division I college football, especially in light of the amount of points the Aztecs piled up the previous week. I did find one play late in the game on defense that I'm not going to name the player in particular, but it was a case where, and I'm not even going to name the person who was sitting next to me when they more or less jinxed that play when they said it was a 3rd and long play, and said, "Oh well, they should get the ball in great field."
Who would say that?
I'm not going to name that.
Who would
person.
say that?
No, I am not going to. I don't know who would say that in that situation when you're down and needing to get the ball back and nothing is assured because you've been struggling the whole day. I don't know who would say that.
Yeah. Why would you sit next to that person?
I will say this. The Aztecs had that play stopped. The Nevada quarterback tossed one over the middle. It was defended successfully by the person on the ball. And then someone playing from the safety position or the warrior position came blasting in and blasted the player who had already dropped the ball. The play had, I don't know if the whistle had been blown clearly enough, but that play was dead. Said this Aztec smacks the receiver, who no longer even had a chance to play the ball, and a flag gets thrown. And instead of the Aztecs getting the ball back with good field position, as someone predicted so confidently before that happened, the play and the drive was extended. Now, they eventually did stop them, hold them scoreless, but more time ran off the clock, and it was just a situation in that case where a little more situational awareness. It's okay to be aggressive on defense, and you got to credit them for doing that.
Let's move on to Aztec basketball. Aztecs start their preseason schedule next Monday at home against Cal State San Marcos, and then the following week, opening at home against Cal State Fullerton, where the banner will be unfurled. That's exciting. And some news about the Aztecs teaming up with NIL Collaborative. Steve?
Right. The athletics department announced it Monday, partnering with Mesa Foundation. That is the Name, Image, and Likeness Collective, basketball program. The Mesa Foundation, thanks to the success of the basketball team, was able to increase its budget. But according to reporting by the Union Tribune, the Mesa Foundation says it needs between $1 million and $1.5 million to be competitive in the NIL market. That means Mesa gets to use Aztec logos. It'll get advertising. It'll get a banner on the GoAztecs.com website that links to the website, mesafoundationsd.org. It'll get access to a season ticket database. So you'll be getting a touch from them. As an official partner, according to a university news release, Mesa gets access to multimedia assets that will generate awareness and engagement. The interesting part about this is the co-founder of Mesa, Jeff Smith, told the UT's Mark Ziegler in the October 23rd edition that in sum, year 2, bigger than year 1, but needs to be bigger in year 3 to attract or keep players. And let's face it, folks, now, most of the, quote, big time, end quote, Power 5 schools, they'd have already figured out ways to, make it worth players' while. But in the piece, Coach Brian Dutcher, like any traditional coach, is described as reluctant to pay college, quote, student athletes, end quote. The reality is, though, he now spends time each week at NIL fundraising events in order to stay, the quote here is, relevant. According to Dutcher, in college basketball, we have to bump our resources to remain competitive as a whole. The Aztecs have these 6 vets, 7 freshmen or sophomores. They had issues trying to get some transfer targets, and apparently these targets left for greener pastures, green being the color of money, reported promises up to $450,000. Is that in a year? And then
Yes,
the Aztecs
Steve.
did lose forward Kashad Johnson. Sorry, you were going to say something, Lewis?
Yeah, I was going to mention, you just mentioned, I'm sorry I butted in on you there, the Kashad Johnson.
No,
who
that's
did write,
quite all right. Anytime.
Yeah, he went over to Arizona.
After all, the Aztecs were able to were sure to get that ball in great field position.
No.
Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, Kashad Johnson, he left, a Final Four team to go to Arizona, reportedly for about $500,000. I also read the use of a Porsche for a year and a house to live in for a year. So, how do you compete with that? I don't know.
To that I say, oh, honey, bless your sweet summertime heart. Good for you. The Aztecs do have 4 of their 9-man rotation returning by the next season. A lot of those people could be gone, according to the cautionary tale by the UT's Mark Ziegler, if the Aztecs don't, step up with some stepped up, dollars above the reported. I think for the starters, it's like $50K a year. So one example of that was the reporting on a university club meeting. Was it last Thursday night at Symphony Towers downtown? They had boosters paying $750 each to attend a private Mountain West ring ceremony with the players. And the co-founder, Smith, says the viable model is to try to get a bunch of people making small contributions, similar to what we did with football and what we were probably going to be looking into doing with basketball, since $750 to see the ring is not in the budget. And we'll be buying those Powerball tickets to see if our lucky number is called. And in that case, a good portion would be going to the Aztecs, right?
Yes, Steve. We've been talking about NIL a lot in this podcast since we started it back in June. And Brady Hoke has been very outspoken about his feelings about NIL, and you have more on that.
Well, he did address it a couple of weeks ago when he was asked about the state of college football, and I believe the question was posed to him in this way. If you had an opportunity to talked to Congress about this, and Hoke is not hopeful that Congress is going to be doing anything. His take is we are moving gradually to a professional model in college athletics, and is that the best direction to be heading? Whether it is or not, that appears to be the direction.
I think it's going to be a little more interesting, as the NIL and the portal, keeps, depending on what we're going to do. We've shortened the days up a little bit, some legislation that way for when people can be in the portal and how long and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know if there's any real guardrails on any of it. I think the continuity and the academic piece for kids going to college, I think we've lost that. We had a meeting today and talking about where guys are, where the portal, well, how long is your admissions going to be open to admit the guys when the portal becomes different? The APR. There's no reason to have APR. And I'll bet in 2 years we won't have it. Because who really cares about an APR if this kid's going to transfer? Right? So, we're a pro model. The more we get into this, the more we are a pro model. And I don't think that's good. It's just like high school, recruiting high school. I feel bad for seniors in high school because everybody's going to work and we're going to be the same guys. We're going to be the same guys. We're going to work hard at recruiting, but we're going to recruit that portal to get experienced guys, and we're not going to recruit some high school kids. And that's bad for the high school kids. Now, it may help the JC system again a little bit more because that kind of, in my opinion, was fading a little bit, some of the junior colleges. But it's, I feel bad for the players as much as anything because of it, but it's also given them more freedom. And I think there's, only so far you can go with that.
Okay, so in the article that Ziegler wrote recently about the basketball NIL, John David Wicker, the athletic director, said this is the world of college athletics now. We're appreciative we have a group that wants to invest in our student athletes and do it the right way. We're happy to continue working with organizations that want to help our student athletes. But the undercurrent of the whole thing in the big picture is it's kind of like video killing the radio star. You got to wonder what the future holds with the NIL, your realignment. For some people, there might be looking at the whole thing and going, man, I could watch professional sports, or I could go fishing on a Saturday. And also to the APR concept, just to put a bow on this whole thing, that's stands for the academic progress rate, which is really supposedly why these institutions are founded, is to educate people academically. And it's calculated with this complex formula. Each student athlete who gets assistance from the school, they get a point for staying in school and a point for being academically eligible. And then there's a total point formula, and then it's a rolling APR. And the teams over this 4-year period have to average an APR of 930 to compete in championships and all that. And most recently, the Aztecs released their information in May for the most recent year, the 2021-2022 years, and all 18 athletic programs at San Diego State exceeded those standards. So will that be an issue in the coming years? You kind of have to hope that it will be, because the last thing personally I would like to see is for Aztec athletes to be coming out of San Diego State University and having packed up a pile of greenbacks, but in the end, not having the tools necessary to proceed later on in life, because in the end, Lewis, there are worse things in life than losing a football game or any other athletic endeavor. If that worst thing in life is a player lost a football game, even if it is to a team that was on a 16-game losing streak, then you still have opportunities in life to be a winner. So, end of that sermon. Let's move on.
Yeah, no, really interesting stuff from both you and Hoke. And, the NIL is really still in its infancy, Steve, with that Supreme Court ruling a few years ago. And everybody's still trying to figure it all out. And I think we're still learning, and so are the universities and the players. So it'd be interesting to see how this comes and moves forward.
Right. All you can do is just deal with the facts as they are right now and try to make the best of them. And that's what everyone's hopefully is trying to do.
Yes, I agree. Let's get back into the fun and games department. Some other quick tidbits here. The Aztec women's golf team, they took 8th place out of 19 at the Clash at Boulder Creek this past weekend. But SDSU's tournament was highlighted by freshman Emma Norita, who shot a 5-under par 211. That is the lowest 54-hole score by an Aztec since 2016. She tied for 10th overall. She had 4 birdies, just 1 bogey, finished with a 3-under par 69 in the final round, and she had just 1 bogey in her last 2 rounds. Her 211, that's a round of 72, 70, and 69, is the lowest by an Aztec freshman since 2013, Steve. So a little Aztec women's golf action. Exciting news for Emma Norita.
Yeah, that's great. And I guess that's their last matchup until they start playing again in February. So we'll look forward to seeing them tee it up when the weather turns more favorable.
Absolutely. And we got some Aztec soccer going on this week, huh?
Yes, let's move on to soccer at this point, Lewis. On the men's side, Oregon State is coming to face the Aztec men's soccer team Thursday at the Sports Deck. They are 6-3-4, and they have not won a game yet in the Pac-12. They are 0-3-2, and hosting Oregon State on Thursday at 4:30. They will host Washington Sunday at 3 p.m. Most recently, the Aztecs are coming off a 2-1 loss at UCLA, a bigger game for the programs. San Diego State women's soccer, they are concluding Mountain West regular season play also on Thursday when they host New Mexico at the Sports Deck. This one at 7 p.m. The Aztecs women currently tied atop the Mountain West standings with Boise State, 25 points each. New Mexico heads into the match 8th with 10 points, or on 10 points, as they say in soccer. Aztecs have 13 wins heading into this contest. That's the most in a season since 2015, when they went 15-4-1 overall and winning the regular season crown. That also, with 13 wins, it's tied for the second most in the nation. And over their last 13 games, San Diego State is 11-1-1. So the Aztecs have clinched on the women's side either the number 1 or number 2 seeds going into the conference tournament, heading into this final match. So if they win, they will be the number 1 seed for this tournament. How about that? And guess, if I'm reading the extremely useful and user-friendly websites at Go Aztecs and Mountain West correctly, the Women's Soccer Championship is being held where, Lewis?
I do not know the answer to that. I did not come prepared for that question.
Well,
I did not study.
Sorry, I didn't mean to hot seat you there. I found it remarkable the location and where this, because I had to, once you started getting into it, they're gonna go into this tournament either 1 or 2 seed. Well, then where are they playing? When? They are playing Sunday, October the 29th through Saturday, November the 4th. Heck, they're going right on this thing this coming weekend in Laramie, Wyoming.
Beautiful Laramie. Yes.
Laramie.
All right. Great news there about the soccer teams. Before we go, we want to tell you about the Aztec for Life blood drive this year, scheduled for November 15th from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Viejas Arena. Anybody who shows up to donate will get a free T-shirt a free pair of socks and coupons to Woodstocks and Eureka. So great opportunity to give the gift of life and support Aztec athletics and the San Diego Blood Bank as well, Steve. And that'll do it. Sign us out.
When blood drives, hey, give till it hurts. Okay, that will wrap up this edition of Aztecs All In. We have gone a lot longer than we had planned to on this, a bye week for San Diego State football. So I'm just going to sign off right here, because if you want to know how to get a hold of us, you can look up some of the other podcasts we have, or follow us on that thing that used to be called Twitter, but now is one of those last 3 letters in the alphabet. So for Louis Weiner, I'm Steve Perez saying thank you, and we will talk to you again soon.